Have you ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict has been so persistent over the years? Well, the roots of this issue are deeply intertwined in a complex web of history, politics, and emotions. This conflict is not just about land or religion, it's about identities, about rights and wrongs that date back centuries. It's a struggle that has shaped the geopolitics of the Middle East and reverberated across the globe. The significance of this conflict today is immense, influencing international relations, sparking debates about human rights, and impacting the lives of millions. It's a topic that elicits strong reactions and is often misunderstood. That's why understanding its origins, its evolution, and the current situation is crucial. Our goal here is to provide a chronological explanation, to break down the complexities, and to shed light on the different perspectives. We won't shy away from the tough questions or the uncomfortable truths. But remember, it's a journey that requires patience, empathy, and an open mind. To truly understand this issue, we need to delve into the past. The seeds of this conflict were sown back in the early 20th century. At this time, a movement was taking root among European Jews. Known as Zionism, this political ideology held that Jews, who had faced centuries of persecution, needed a nation of their own. This idea gained momentum, and many Jews began to immigrate to Palestine, then a region under the control of the Ottoman Empire. This influx of immigrants was not without friction. The indigenous Arab Palestinians saw this as an encroachment on their lands and their way of life. World War I saw a shift in power dynamics. With the defeat of the Ottomans, Britain took control of Palestine, under what came to be known as the British Mandate. During this period, Jewish immigration continued, further escalating tensions with the Arab Palestinians. A pivotal moment came in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration. This was a public statement issued by the British government, expressing support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. While the declaration also stated that nothing should be done to prejudice the rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, many Arab Palestinians felt that their concerns were being sidelined. In the decades that followed, the situation became increasingly volatile. Clashes erupted between Jewish immigrants and Arab Palestinians, and attempts at peaceful resolutions were unsuccessful. The British, unable to maintain control, eventually decided to withdraw, leaving the fate of Palestine in the hands of the United Nations. These early events set the stage for a conflict that would span decades. The creation of the State of Israel in 1948 marked a significant turning point. This was a momentous event, not only for the Jewish people who finally had a homeland after centuries of wandering, but also for the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The birth of Israel, however, was not without its challenges. Its inception was met with immediate resistance, marking the beginning of a protracted conflict that has persisted up to the present day. The story begins with the United Nations Partition Plan of 1947. The world body proposed a solution to the growing tension between Jews and Arabs living in Palestine. The plan aimed to divide the land into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem under international control. However, the Arab nations rejected the plan, unwilling to accept the creation of a Jewish state. Undeterred by this opposition, on May 14, 1948, the Jewish People's Council declared the establishment of the Jewish State of Israel. This was a historic moment, but it was also a flashpoint. No sooner had the declaration been made than Israel found itself under attack. The neighboring Arab states, refusing to acknowledge Israel, launched a military campaign. This initiated the First Arab-Israeli War, a bitter and bloody conflict that lasted for nearly a year. Israel, against considerable odds, managed to not only defend its territory but also expand it. By the time armistice agreements were signed in 1949, Israel had increased its size by a third. But the war did more than just redraw borders. It created a deep and lasting animosity between Israel and its neighbors. It also resulted in a significant humanitarian crisis, as thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes, setting the stage for further conflicts and negotiations in the years to come. The aftermath of this war would continue to shape the region for years to come. From the ashes of this conflict, a new Middle East emerged, one that continues to grapple with the complexities of coexistence and peace to this very day. The year 1967 brought about another critical juncture in this conflict. The escalating tensions in the region were marked by the rise of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, whose fiery rhetoric and assertive policies stoked the flames of discord. The Six-Day War, as it came to be known, was poised on the precipice of this boiling cauldron of unrest. This war was sparked by a preemptive strike from Israel against Arab forces. The situation was tense, to say the least. The Arab nations, under the leadership of Egypt, were rallying their forces in what appeared to be an imminent attack on Israel. In response, Israel decided to strike first, launching a devastating assault on Arab airfields, which effectively crippled the air forces of Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. The ensuing 6 days were a whirlwind of combat. Despite being significantly outnumbered, Israel managed to secure a surprising victory. This swift triumph saw Israel capturing the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and, most notably, East Jerusalem. This was a significant development as Jerusalem holds immense religious significance for both Jews and Muslims. The aftermath of the Six-Day War was profound. Israel's victory and subsequent occupation of the aforementioned territories fundamentally altered the landscape of the Israeli-Arab conflict. This occupation led to increased tensions between Israelis and Palestinians residing in these areas, setting the stage for the decades of strife that would follow. The Six-Day War also marked a shift in global perspectives. Israel, once seen as the underdog, was now viewed as a regional power. This shift in dynamics, coupled with the continued occupation of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, has played a significant role in shaping the nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as we know it today. This war fundamentally changed the dynamics of the conflict. The shockwaves of the Six-Day War are still felt today, influencing the policies, attitudes, and narratives that continue to drive this enduring conflict. In the recent years, the conflict has taken on new dimensions. The resurgence of violence has been significant, with the role of Hamas being a key factor. This Palestinian organization, often criticized for its violent tactics, has been at the forefront of the escalating tensions, leading to a renewed wave of conflict. The impact on Gaza has been substantial, with civilians often caught in the crossfire, their lives disrupted by the horrors of war. China, a global powerhouse, has been drawn into the fray, albeit in a somewhat ambiguous role. Initially urging calm and restraint, the Eastern giant later condemned acts harming civilians, but stopped short of explicitly calling out Hamas. China's stance has been largely attributed to its policy of non-interference, historical support for the Palestinian cause, and its economic interests in the Middle East. It's a delicate balancing act, as China's close ties with Iran, a known supporter of Hamas, could potentially compromise its position as a neutral party. Meanwhile, academic voices like Uriel Abulov from Tel Aviv University are advocating for a fresh approach. Abulov presents a compelling argument that the conflict should be seen as a war against zealots on both sides, rather than a solely Israeli-Palestinian issue. He suggests that a demilitarized democratic Palestine, supported by international efforts, could be a hopeful solution. And then we have the heart-rending stories from the ground. In the Palestinian town of Beit Sahur, a routine school day was disrupted by news of missiles leaving Gaza. Students, teachers, and parents were suddenly thrust into a terrifying reality, with the impact of the war reaching far beyond the battlefield. It's a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict, as education, economic stability, and the very fabric of normal life are under threat. The recent developments have, once again, brought this conflict to the forefront of international attention. As the world watches, the hope is that a peaceful resolution can be found to end the cycle of violence that has plagued the region for far too long. Understanding the Israel-Palestine conflict is no easy task. This intricate weave of historical, political, and social threads forms a tapestry that is as complex as it is compelling. We've journeyed from the roots of this conflict, through the birth of Israel and the First Arab-Israeli War, to the Six-Day War and its aftermath. We delved into recent developments, witnessing the changing dynamics and the deepening divide. The escalation of violence, the impact on innocent lives, and the ripple effects on the larger geopolitical landscape cannot be overlooked. The conflict is not a simple binary between right and wrong, but a multi-layered issue with numerous factors at play. It's a narrative shaped by differing perspectives, each with their own truths and traumas. Yet, amidst the chaos and the heartbreak, there is a glimmer of hope. The voices advocating for peace, the efforts towards dialogue, and the resilience of the human spirit offer a ray of optimism. While the path to peace is uncertain, understanding the past and present of this conflict is a crucial step towards finding a solution.